Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Brian and Jim here with Drink a Beer and Play a Game, and welcome to another episode of the Power Hour Podcast.
Yes, hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 293. Thank you for joining us tonight. Brian, thank you for joining me, and thank you for letting me record our bonus segments for the Krusty Corner before we do the regular show. Brian is in a mood now.
There's some things you see, Jim, and you can't unsay them. You can't unknow them, and tonight was one of those. So if you want to know what it is, you got to head over to our Patreon to find out. But
for as little as $1, everyone, links are below. But yes, all that aside, thank you once again for being here. Brian, besides our little earlier part of the night, how you doing?
Chambers, every week is a new adventure in the world. If you're from the U.S., I feel like every day the news keeps rolling in. So,
yeah, it's not every day that a plane crashes in an intersection you drove by 1,000 times before. So
yeah.
That happened. So, I mean, yeah, before we get into all the jokiness aside with all the fucking crazy accidents and shit going out, our hearts go out to everyone. It really hits close to home when it's like down the street from where you grew up, like 10 minutes away from where I grew up. So that's one of those like sobering things where you're just like, oh God, what the hell is going on here?
Dude, I think about all the times I walked that mall, that Wendy's, that was the one I said me and Juan used to always go to, all like that area, like you said, our hearts go out to people, but knowing how crazy at that time of day traffic could have been, it's actually more of a miracle that there wasn't more damage. And the fact that if it would have went 20 feet or 30 feet, whatever it is, and actually gone into some homes, it would have been even worse. But yeah, that's beyond awful. Hell of a way to
keep yourself safe out there, people, as much as you can.
I'll be honest. I'm not the biggest fan of flying to begin with. I wouldn't say I'm terrified. I don't love it, but yeah, after these past couple weeks, I would. If I had a flight lined up, I'd probably be rethinking it, Jim. I don't know. That's just me.
Look, Brian, good thing we're 2 years out of the train apocalypse. So you know what? A nice little relaxing drive through the mountainsides would be nice. Just sit back, relax, get my Switch, just sit on a train. That'll be nice. Sounds delightful, really.
Well, Chambers, unlike the last, I don't even know how many episodes at this point, we usually are coming back and talking about our boys in green, how great they did. We're on our break because we're leading up to the Super Bowl next week. And like I said, Jim, I said it earlier, I know you've been a naysayer. I'm still holding on hope. You've been a naysayer, don't you dare. And I'm holding on hope that my prediction before, which was if we got to the Super Bowl, we're going to win it. So I'm maintaining that 100%. Refs be fucked and damned. Yeah, I think we got it.
See, Brian, the key is we have to kill the refs. If you kill the refs, there's no one to give calls to Mahomes. It's a perfect plan.
I'm just saying. You tell me.
Brian, you should have watched the Royal Rumble so we could talk about something topical.
I see enough highlights of that. When I Show Speed is one of your highest highlights of the Rumble, there's problems.
I got to give him credit. I have to give the guy credit. He took 2 very nasty bumps willingly because Braun Breaker flies off those ropes. So you know what? Credit where it's due.
No. Let me be clear. Just like when Logan Paul started doing his appearances and I was like, he's probably one of the most athletic people. I'm saying I'm impressed by him, but the fact that was arguably the biggest highlight that kept coming across my timeline, and I saw the winner was fucking one of the Usos, I was like, who gives a rat's fuck for that? That's the state of wrestling right now. It is what it is, Jim.
Yeah, all right, so I watched the Rumble after. I didn't watch it live, so I watched it the day later. I saw all the crying on Twitter, and even I was like, Jey Uso, ugh. So, but as a guy who's tangentially watched, I know he's crazy over at the crowds right now. And when I watched the event and afterwards, I was like, I'm fine with it because at the sake of sounding super hypocritical as a wrestling fan, it's like all you ever do is go, this guy's super hot right now. Just give him a push and see if he can go with it. And every time they never do it. So the one time they do seem to be doing it, it's, everyone's going, yeah, but not that one. So I'll give it the benefit. It's not like fucking like the way the women's Rumble had Charlotte coming back and winning. That would have been like if Cena won for the men's, and then it really would have been like a okay, that kind of deal. So, you know what? I watched the event. I surprisingly liked it way more than I was expecting from all the bitching I heard online. Women's Rumble, kind of a mess, but it's kind of always happens with the Women's Rumbles. The Tag Championship match, who cares? Like, DIY versus the Motor City Machine Guns, like, they're fine teams, but, like, okay. Cody and Kevin Owens, awesome match. Fantastic ladder match. And the Men's Rumble I enjoyed. So, you know what?
Having not known anything, were there any, I guess, more our generation wrestlers that entered?
Trish came out in the Women's Rumble. She came back.
Did you say Cena was in it?
Yeah, Cena came out.
Okay.
He's on his like retirement tour right now.
Yeah. Well, that's why I mean, every Rumble has those, right? Like they have the guys from 10, whatever. They'll have some popular spots. You know, they're not winning. They're there to just be like, oh, they're in there.
I mean, Cena could have won because he is like retiring in a couple months, so whatever. But yeah, not a ton of like old guys from our generation. I think we're getting to the point where a lot of the guys we grew up with really can't go or do anything anymore. So you would be at best seeing like an RVD or a Booker T or something like that. So which I'd be fine with. I always enjoy seeing them, but yeah.
I saw from one of the pay-per-views, I assume it was pay-per-view, but I saw on Twitter, like The Undertaker was there with like Ray Ripley.
Oh, that was, I think, a couple pay-per-views ago. Or no, it might have been Saturday Night's Main Event. I think it was one of those that they're doing again. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just saw that and I went, oh, okay. Like, they still sometimes throw those guys a bone, but yeah, I don't know. Like I said, Royal Rumble is one of those things I've always, like, every couple years I go back and I try to find them on YouTube. It was more convenient, actually. That was one of the few reasons why I liked the WWE Network was all the archive shit. Go back, just rewatch Rumbles. I don't need the whole pay-per-view. I just want the actual Rumble. But yeah, having not watched any of it, it just seemed very underwhelming. And I think that's just the state of wrestling right now.
Yeah, I mean, any Rumble is always going to be fun to watch, even the bad ones. So, like, it's fine. It's whatever.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not super emotionally invested anyway, so, like, I don't care all that much. And all signs point to him going after, like, the lesser of the two titles. So it's even, like, kind of a throwaway. It's a whatever, but fine. Give him a shot, I guess. Try to make some kind of new star. Whatever.
Jim, would you say in this America soon there won't be a women's Rumble soon?
30 women cook the best meal in the kitchen. That's gonna be American these days. Oh boy.
Oh man.
Return to monkey. That's what we're doing.
But Chambers, listen, we got the boys in the Super Bowl this coming weekend, so we'll have much to discuss next week after that. But in celebration for them, I couldn't just go with the last little bit of random beer I had left. I was like, let me get a Philly beer. Let me get something. Instead of all the Eagles beers, and surprisingly, I don't know about you, the place near me didn't actually have that much. Like, I feel like all season and last year there was a ton of them. I didn't see much. So I actually grabbed something. I've never heard of Broad Street Brewing, which surprises me because I feel like it's a name I should know, but I never saw it. So I grabbed their Hey Yo, obviously a little Rocky tribute there, holding up the beer. It's their Hazy IPA, 6.4%. Nothing else on it, just a nice little green can, little Philly love right there. Made the terrible mistake. I don't know if you've ever done this. Sometimes when I get beer for the pod, I'll just like bring it downstairs. I'm like, oh yeah, I'll throw it in the fridge before. Literally like 30 minutes before. I was like, fuck, I never put it in the fridge. So I'm trying to really savor this first one so the other ones can get a little colder. Having a hazy IPA at best a little bit under room temp. Not the best.
Risky.
So I don't want to hate on the beer. I'll just say, it's actually like, this is one of those, I call it the messy head beers. This is that Throatzilla you get. Well, maybe you did, but it's just a fucking mess. The taste, once again, it's a warm, hazy IPA, so I don't want to hate on it too much. It's not awful, but it's not my favorite. I'll wait to see what a cold one tastes like. it doesn't stand out flavor wise though. You got citrus, you got a little bit more of a bite. So it's not like the pineapple-y citrus, it's more like the grapefruit style. But yeah, it's a beer. Now what you drinking tonight?
I am drinking from the Vale Brewing Company, their Arctic Crypt. So
Ooh, that's a cool ass can. A little Jaws reference.
It's almost, so it's got a skull in front of what looks like a glacier. So I think it's almost more of like a Titanic-ish kind of reference because it's not a shark on there.
Yeah, but it's still got the head almost. It's like a combination of the two, right?
Yeah, I mean that's like the
that's pretty
glacier
sweet
sticking
though.
out the top.
Yeah,
no, it's a very simplistic but very striking kind of canned art that's on here. Brian, this is an Imperial Stout blended with bourbon barrel aged. Well, blended with bourbon barrel aged. Okay, that's not the best write-up I've ever seen. But 13% alcohol. So,
Ooh.
Jimmy will be feeling it tonight. And I got to say so far, tiniest bit of head, but you never get a lot of head with stouts. No lacing at all. Aroma, you definitely smell that like a bourbon barrel aged kind of, typical stout flavor. It's not boozy at all at 13% somehow. So that's actually really impressive because like normally you get that bite. In this you have like the aroma, you get a little bit of that alcohol bite, but the taste itself, like if you like stouts, you will really enjoy this one, I have to say.
Where you said the Vale? Where are they from?
That is a good question. The Vale out of. See, they have this like light pink writing on a blue background, so I'll get back to that. I'll look that up.
Well, while you're looking that up,
Jimmy's pushing 40. The eyes ain't quite what they used to be.
Yeah, I know we've been covering our gaming back and forth. Man, I am so deep into Red Dead 2 right now.
Richmond, Virginia, Brian. So actually,
Okay.
I got this at a local clearance rack. So this isn't even one that I brought up from Virginia. It's just happened to happen.
Nice. Fuck, you just made me lose my train of thought. Oh, yeah.
Playing Red Dead.
I'm sad, number one, that you're not doing a Philly beer. Clearly, you're not supporting the boys.
I have such a backlog again. It's like I was like, maybe I should get one. It's like, yeah, fuck it, who cares?
But yeah, no. So, man, Red Dead. It's funny because now it's got its hooks in me enough where I'm doing all these stories. I'm like, cool. I'm gonna start breezing through these stories. And once again, the game like opened up a whole new area, and now like there's all these other side missions and other shit that's going on. And I started a little bit going back down the rabbit hole of like, let me do some of these other side things, like hunting certain legendary animals and things. But I'm completely into it. I think like one of my longer gaming sessions I've had in a while the other night was like 2.5, 3 hours, which is not something I've done in, I can't even tell you how long. So I like that. It's like sparking that back in me, but I'm like, fuck. Like, I'm trying to get to the story, and I could look up, like, what's the main line, but I'm trying to be like, let me just get to it naturally. I'm not trying to rush through it, but, no, I'm having fun with it. I can, just like, if you're someone who hates GTA, I can see where some people, like, shit on it or be like, oh, there's not enough to do. I'm like, wow, like, I keep finding more and more shit to do, so I'm like, I don't know who says that, but, yeah.
Wait, someone said that about Red Dead?
Yeah, they said it's like...
What?
Yeah, they basically were like, yeah, it's just like so boring because like all you do is have to like walk around and like explore. I'm like, but isn't that like Legend of Zelda, Breath of the Wild? But just...
So for the people out there, I just did a little quick internet sleuthing, as we call it. It's also known as Google. If you go to How Long to Beat for Red Dead Redemption 2, the story itself is about 50.5 hours. And if you want 100% it, it normally takes about 188 hours.
Yeah.
In what world is that not enough content?
I don't know if it's the same thing like where, you know how I'm not a fan of Breath of the Wild? I'm not a fan of that because I hate the weapon system and some other little things. But I found myself getting bored in Breath of the Wild. Not saying there's not enough to do. I guess there's enough people. But then again, people hate on that game on Red Dead because I'm like, probably because of how much praise it got. And I love the one meme. It said, what game will get you in trouble with an opinion that says like it insists upon itself. And a lot of people kept saying Red Dead too, and I'm like, I don't know. I think that's just the fan base who played it and loved the ever-loving shit out of it. But either way, like I said, it got me to rewatch Django and Hateful Eight. So I'm going through my rewatching westerns at this point, and then that reinforces me wanting to go back and play, like build a character like the Hangman. I'm like, ooh, I want him to look like the Hangman. So, yeah, I'm into it.
I like you. I actually gamed a lot more this past weekend than I have in I couldn't even tell you how long. Like I probably had like a good 6-7 hours of gaming over the couple days, which for me is a ton. So, and when you're a dad and a kid, like 7 hours to game even over a couple days is a blessing. So I finished up RoboCop Rogue City. If you like RoboCop, you will absolutely love this game. It's awesome. I got sucked into almost every single side mission, and it's not like there's a ton of it. It's actually a game that could be very easily platinumed. Like, I would have to play through maybe half the game again, and I could platinum it because I know what I had to look out for. But, yeah, it took me about 17 hours with all the side missions I did in this main story mode. But, I mean, yeah, having Peter Weller back doing the voiceover was just awesome. The writing was spot on. It just had the goofiness, it had the seriousness, it had the quotes and everything like that. It had the feels. It was great. So many little Easter eggs to the fan base. And kind of like you, it got me really wanting to be like RoboCop'd up. Like the one night I was playing, I was all drunk. So I went on eBay and bought a toy from 1993.
God damn it, Jim.
Unfortunately, the speaking box, the battery's dead. And I'm not going to crack open the toy just to fix that, but...
Fuck, Jim.
It was one I always wanted. I had to relive my youth.
You couldn't have just watched the movies? Like, it couldn't have got you in that mood?
I would have with my DVD, but one, it's up in the attic right now with all my other DVDs. And two, I kind of burnt out that DVD watching it back in the day. So, I mean, I could have just streamed it and all that crap, but no. Right, if I watched a movie, then I would have spent time playing the game, which I really wanted to do. So I got my fix both ways. But yeah, no, RoboCop Rogue City was absolutely awesome. Definitely deserved all the praise it got. So it actually got me in the mood to play Terminator, I keep saying Salvation, Resistance next, because it's by the same people, and I grew up a fanatic of the Terminator franchise, so if it's as good as RoboCop was for the Terminator side, I will probably love that as well. And if you can see in the corner here, unfortunately the people audio only can't see, Jimmy's got a lot of boxes piling up over here. That's all computer parts. So Daddy's finally going to be putting together a rig that will be his future-proofed, over-engineered bad boy for the next 10 years. And, but when that gets built and put together, I'll trust myself to sit down and record X-Men 2 for Patreon, because this old girl in front of me right here, it's for content creation, it's hanging on by a thread. We can put it that way. So, yeah. And I figured before tariffs and all this other bullcrap possibly went down and the price skyrocketed, just bite the bullet and do it now. I'd been saving. What the hell? Treat myself. Make the website a little better and all that crap. So why not?
Jim, you need to stock up on Molson and maple syrup.
I did think about getting like at least one thing of Molson, just like nostalgic. Good old Molson Ice. The first vicious hangover I ever had was off Molson Ice. So that was a trendsetter in little Jimmy's life.
And then how many, for a stretch there, how many guys trips would we do the Molson Triple X? And that was strong for us. Like, I don't even remember what percentage it is now, but I remember they were fucking strong. And to pregame with those seemed like a good idea, because it's like you get the most bang for your buck. They're really strong, taste good, and
7.3%.
Okay, so not compared to what we drink nowadays. Not insane, but back then, that was like one of the strongest ones, and that's what we were pre-gaming with. So yeah.
And if you cram 11 guys into a hotel room, that's a casino hotel room, so the windows are suicide-proof, so you can't open them. All those guys drinking Molson Triple X is a smell that you will never forget. Awful.
So,
but what's not awful is the support of our lovely patrons. over at patreon.com. I saw you struggling there, Bri. /DrinkABeerandPlayAGame, where for as little as $2 a month, you can ask a question that we will answer on each and every single one of these Power Hour podcasts. First up from Burn Retinas. With Ninja Gaiden and Shinobi returning, is it definitely the year of the ninja? Who is your favorite ninja in fiction?
Ooh. So isn't also, what is that game? I always fuck up the name. Tenchu,
Tenchu, I think. Yeah.
Tenchu. Isn't that getting a remake too?
Is it?
Maybe not. I might be confusing it with one of the other ones you just said. That was my favorite ninja game. I only brought that up for that reason because I thought I saw something. But favorite? Oh. Do you count the Power Rangers as ninjas?
I was going to say, in the movie and beyond, they went through a ninja phase, so do I go with good old
They did.
Amy Jo Johnson, the love of every young man's life?
That's a different love. Listen, you didn't want to be her. You wanted to do other things with her. Everyone wanted to be the Green Ranger, aka the White Ranger. You know it.
Bri, I'm the more progressive one here. You don't know what I wanted to do, all right? And how dare you for assuming?
Jim, then this is a bad time for you. You better start changing your tone.
They're gonna come get me. I'm canceled. It's over. But no, or you know what? Like, for lack of being able to think of anything, because I know I went through 1,000 ninja things as a kid, but like, I always loved Ninjor in that era of fucking Power Rangers for his like goofy, overdone, like heroic voice and crap like that. He was such a goofy character and also like a cool like thing to like morph around with and stuff like that. Like the little short little helper ninja robot, like he just like showed up. It was so random.
See, here's the deal. It's funny. Like the ninja itself is something that I think of. I'm like, of the archetype of whatever. Like if you wanted to get real anal, you could honestly maybe say Batman with ninjutsu.
Yeah.
Like, but or Daredevil or something.
Or Psylocke or something. All the ninjas I name, I want to fuck.
Yeah,
I don't get it.
Damn it. See, when I think of ninjas from when I was a kid, Sub-Zero, favorite fighting. I was so obsessed with that Zen, the Intergalactic Ninja, as a kid because I had all the toys and a ton of his comics.
Wow. That's a throwback.
But Jim, just to piss you off, I might also throw Izumu on there.
So this is someone no one but anyone who ever played HeroScape will ever. So, Izumu. In HeroScape, like many of the little miniature tabletop games, all these things have point values. This little red ninja, 10 points, which for
the cheapest a unit could be. Nothing was cheaper than 10 points.
Yep. He was 10 points, and he had the ability to poof away from an attack if you rolled, what was it, a 19 or a 20 under the old D20 there?
No, it was like a 10 or higher. It was like the value was so low, it didn't make sense. But you also realized, I think like special attacks didn't count. So normal attacks, as long as you rolled like a 10 or higher, it was basically like a 50-50 shot.
Yeah, and he had like 3 attack, which was like pretty standard. So it's like this was a completely broken piece. And this asshole over here always phased away from me. He always rolled the goddamn thing. So this little 10-point piece is just tearing apart shit that costs like 150, 190, takes up like half to 2/3 of my team, depending on the format we did. That was Jimmy's life in HeroScape. I had perfect strategy and the worst rolls of all goddamn time.
I mean, here's the thing. What was so funny was anyone else who got him, it was such a throwaway piece. It was like, all right, maybe he'll go out there and get damage. But yeah, like I had some crazy rolls from time to time.
Time says.
Yeah, that piece, just because the tonal shift of a game, if somebody had it and it was going off on it, like that was amazing. But yeah, but to the more serious answers, I'll stick with I'll stick with my Sub-Zero and Zen. What about you?
Fuck. That's really tough. You know what's weird? Like, I never loved any of the ninja video games really that much. Like, Revenge of Shinobi never clicked with me.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
I wasn't a Ninja Turtles kid growing up. Like, I liked the Turtles. I guess for lack of a better answer, I'll say Shredder. Like, Shredder's pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go with Shredder. Fuck it. Best ninja-related bad guy.
I looked up. Were you a G.I. Joe kid? Did you like Snake Eyes?
Was never a G.I. Joe kid.
Okay. Oh yeah, Psylocke is technically a ninja. So is Elektra.
Yeah, they're ninjas. Yeah.
But yeah, no. When it came to ninja games, I think when we started the channel, I did fuck around with Ninja Gaiden. I really enjoyed them. Just as a kid, I just, for whatever reason, never played it. That's a series I wouldn't mind getting into. I don't mind a game that's really tough. Like, I'm fine with it as long as it's fun. But that Tenchu, whatever, I love the shit out of that game. And I played it so much. So, yeah, that's probably my favorite ninja game. But I also have, the worst experience with ninja games. So, yeah, I hope it's a year of ninja because we've had zombies, we've had westerns, we've had shooters.
Yeah, I think
give the ninja some love.
I think The Messenger is getting a re-release for the physical collectors out there. So, yeah. A lot of ninja love going out there right now. Next up, from Todd Harrod Sucks. Would you rather fight a grizzly bear with a chainsaw with 5 seconds of fuel or a great white shark with a spear gun with only 1 spear?
For me, this is easy. Grizzly bear, just because fuck the ocean, fuck the water. I feel so incredibly vulnerable. And while, yeah, maybe I probably would have a better chance of actually killing the shark, then I'm still just ass out in the middle of the ocean. A grizzly, not saying I have a better chance, but I mentally always think I have a better chance on land at least. So I'll take my chances with a grizzly. Maybe I can get enough high ground and just hit it in the face a couple times just to get it away from me. But yeah, I'll take my chances on land.
Bryce saw the Revenant and went, that could be me.
No, I don't want that to be me. But yeah, I don't fuck with the ocean. The ocean is outer space on Earth. I don't like that shit.
Tom Hardy's going to kill your Native American son.
God damn it. Don't do it. What about you?
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like, I can swim, but I'm not fucking going to be nimble enough or have the endurance to deal with a fucking shark. Or like, I don't even know how you're going to aim a spear gun in time unless like a shark comes at you straight on and you see it in time. So again, I think the bear I'd probably have a better chance with. I'm dead either way. Like, I know it.
Yeah.
I'm done so.
But if you had to roll the dice on it.
Oh, if I had to roll the dice, it would be the bear. I'd take a couple swipes at it with the thing, take the shit that's in my pants, because there would be shit at that point. Maybe throw it at its face and just try and run like hell.
Yeah. Yeah, that's let's hope that's a situation we never get into, Jim.
Bri, I think I'm a little bit too much of a suburban boy to ever be in that situation. Not one for the woods. Camping, not my thing. Don't need it.
Well, I will say one of the times I've been up to camp, when we were in the middle of the night going out, like finding areas to put our stands, came across a bear bait, which is the National Guard or whoever it was, like for tag purposes. They literally just do a.
I thought they were called Twinks.
Damn it! Yes, well, the Twinks of the government. They literally bait bears by doing a giant pile of donuts. And we're like, why the fuck is there a big pile of donuts? And turns out it was bear bait. And we just walked right up to him. We're like, that's not good. So yeah. Yeah, I've seen enough videos of like hunters in stands and like a bear like climbs up next to it. I'm like, yeah, no, that's I don't like that. So
yeah, you know what?
Luckily, we don't got grizzlies.
you guys, you have fun with it. You do your thing.
Yeah. There is something very surreal, I will say, about like 4 a.m. being walking in the fucking dark-ass woods, and every sound, you're like, what the fuck is that? what the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? So yeah, there's always that thought, especially because there was footage of bears around the hunting camp. So I'm like, yeah, granted, it's black bears, so much smaller, and you actually can fight them off better. Like a grizzly, I said the only thing worse than a grizzly is you ever see a polar bear, you know you're beyond fucked. Yeah, they eat people like, yeah, it's no big deal.
Yeah, just a black bear. That's all.
But good question. I like that.
Yep. No, we love those hypotheticals. So once again, that wraps up the questions for this week. Thank you to everyone out there for all the support. We really do appreciate it. If you're listening on iTunes, Spotify, or Podbean, make sure to, or YouTube, head on over to all those different platforms. Leave those likes, leave those comments, leave those subscriptions. Anything you can do can and will help the page. And also, if you're in the mood to learn something for once, head on over to Skillshare. Use our code DBPG, and you can get a percentage off your first year of any class.
Yeah, no, guys, thank you so much for supporting us. And make sure, get those questions in like you've seen in previous episodes. Even if you backlog a couple of them, we appreciate it. All right, Chambers. Well, I am happy to report this feels much colder, but as you can see, this is that seafoam style head. It takes forever to dissipate, super messy, but I'm tempted to see what the flavor is. Didn't love it warm, I'll say that. So,
IPAs are rough war.
Yeah.
It's not. Once again, you Brit bongs, I don't know how the hell you do it. What's wrong with you? You're sick people with how you drink, but you know what? Bri, at least you can finally enjoy the real flavor.
I'm tempted. I'm waiting for the head to go down a little bit, but Chambers, something
Bri,
you
speaking
posted.
of head and going down,
True.
if there is one way you want to get it, you better not be doing certain things.
So, here's the real question, Jim. I'm putting it up here. It's already up, so you guys can see it as we're talking. You've probably seen this circulate around Reddit, around Twitter, wherever. It's a chart that says least attractive hobbies for men according to women. And there's an unattractiveness score at the bottom, rounded to 20, 40, 60, 80. Is there any real thought behind this? No, it's probably just a meme, and apparently I looked into it. It was like, started from someone on TikTok, and it started because a dude was like bird watching, and like I guess his girl was roasting him on that. But it does spark an interesting debate, and why don't we go through it, Chambers? Why don't you tell the folks, starting with bird watching at number 10, what else is unattractive?
Bird watching on the unattractive scale is a 50, followed by comic book collecting at 55, taxidermy at 60, building model trains at 65, gambling at 70, online trolling at 75, magic tricks at 80, collecting figurines at 85, and at 90, a whopping score, playing video games.
So, all I can say is...
Right, first, this comes to us from a Liz Wheeler, who is the host of The Liz Wheeler Show, author of Hide Your Children, Exposing the Marxists Behind the Attacks on America's Kids. So she sounds like a great time. Great for parties.
So if you want to go down the rabbit hole, if you click on the link, she even goes into saying, like, I posted it as a joke because I saw somebody else do it. She's like, but because all you guys responded, like, she did a whole show. I don't know what her show is, a podcast or whatever. Like, she
right,
actually
the Liz
said,
Wheeler Show. What the fuck are you talking about? How do you not know this?
She's like, come at me and like I'll debate you. And she just doubled down on like, yeah, playing video games is one of the most unattractive things. It is a red flag because it's antisocial. Like, she gave all these stupid ass reasons, right? I can only give my own thing. And as someone who even in high school enjoyed playing video games, I can remember going down the shore, bringing my PS2 and having my girlfriend. I was like, you can just sit here and watch me while I play this. And it didn't have an effect on my ability to secure.
Right, that's called a power move right there.
She's like,
you just sit there and go, hey, bitch, why don't you just sit there and watch Daddy do his thing?
I didn't quite say that, but she got to see the whole campaign of Alien vs. Predator Extinction, the RTS on PS2.
You showed me the tape. That's exactly what you said. I don't know what you're talking about here.
Damn it, Jim. Those tapes are secure. But,
Oops.
yeah. Dude, playing video games, here's the deal. back in the day, I actually would agree. I would say back in the day, like 80s or even 90s, you'd probably be like, "Ooh, do you play games?" Today, it's like so. I don't. It's actually more rare for me to find a guy who doesn't enjoy playing video games as some form of pastime.
Yeah. Here's a tip, women of the world. If you want a guy who doesn't play video games, have fun being single. It's gonna be tough to find that at this point.
I will say though, seeing magic tricks on there, like that made me laugh so hard. I'm like, who the fuck is out there? Like legit, unless you're like that's your profession in fucking Vegas. Who's out there? Like, ooh, is this your card? Like, what the fuck? You're not Gambit. Like, what are you doing out there? That shit is crazy.
And look. Let's cut to the. If you're not racist, you could probably pull some black women with the magic trick. They love them some street magic. All right, I've seen the videos.
Online trolling, actually, I think should be number one. If you're a fucking online troll and you're now, granted, you can kind of be anonymous. Whereas, like, assuming like your girl doesn't know what your online activity is, like if you're one of these like people who we've talked about and we've seen. That's their lives. I'm like, yeah, I have to imagine that's pretty unattractive.
How is trolling less of a turnoff than video games?
That's what I mean. It's
like,
insane.
Like collecting figurines, like the Warhammer 40-year-old virgin guy painting his things.
Jim,
Fine.
I'm gonna assume when they say collecting figurines, they just mean toys in general.
Oh, I'm going for broke here, Brian.
So your little drunken RoboCop binge. You mean I didn't get you laid that night?
Right, if I knew the girl was coming over, I would have put the Sentinel away. All right? Like, come on now.
I mean, sometimes. But yeah, then you got, like I said, this apparently all started with bird watching. Can you honestly say the last time I've seen it even reference bird watching is fucking the original Beetlejuice, where Lydia's dad is just trying to do it like as a pastime hobby. I've never heard of anyone bird watching.
The funny thing about that, and this is purely anecdotal, obviously,
Sure.
The only person I know who's into bird watching is like one of my wife's longest friends, like longest timest friends. Like she does bird watching all the time. So like the only person I know who bird watches is a girl. So obviously small sample size, but fuck you for hating that. Like if fucking spotted cockatiel flies by and a guy points it out, you're not gonna be like, oh, that's cool. That's
There'd
impressive.
be an interest, but I could also see like if a dude was on a date and he said that, oh, did you know that's a northern spotted cockatiel? Things might dry up. Is all I'm gonna say, Jim.
If he's in the safari hat and the high up cargo short, the khaki shorts, and yeah, I could see that being a turnoff. There's levels to all this, Brian.
I mean, it's nothing like trying to pick up a girl with our buddy Matt's one liner, which is, "Hey, did you know on Mario Kart 64 there's a secret tunnel and was it Cuba Trooper Beach?"
He married a hot Brazilian, Brian. So you tell me, all right?
Where's Ice at?
Long enough, she said.
But yeah, this is
and you know what? Fuck these whores. They should, for any woman out there who says building model trains, the second your man turns 60, every single one is going to have a model train set. All right? It's just a thing you're going to have to accept. We're going to all have the hat. We're going to have a little room in the basement, and we're going to be little conductors. All right? So just prepare for it now.
Jim, what's worse to you? The building model trains are getting into like the Warhammer stuff. Because to me, it's the same exact level of it takes up space. It's like, it's ridiculous. The model train, I think, is a little more ridiculous when you dress the part. But, there's levels, right?
Look, bro, I just assume we all turned into Reverend Lovejoy at some point. But like we said, there's levels. So here's a funny thing to go back to our red pill buddies like Jack Napier and Ryan Stone. One thing that they always will say to guys is, no matter what your hobbies are, it's way better to be interested in something than to be interested in nothing. So if someone comes up to you and goes, "What are you into?" and you just go, "Oh, stuff," or you don't go into detail about anything, then what the fuck do you have to talk about? At the very least, you can, if you're not a total, crazy person, for lack of a better term, You can have any of these hobbies and make it somewhat interesting.
Yeah, I mean, just be into it, right? Like, it also, as a hobby, that doesn't need to be your whole identity.
Yeah. That's where the real problem comes in, like gamers on fucking Twitter. Like when they're like, oh, I'm a gamer through and through. It's like, yeah, well, probably shouldn't be.
Yeah, I mean, I've never approached someone like, oh, what are you into? Like, I don't list video gaming as, like, I list it as an enjoyment. Like, I don't know, like, this shit's all weird. But either way, the reaction, this could have almost been a Gamer's Mad with the reaction that she got from this shit.
Oh, I mean, yeah, it started as a joke and then she just fed the trolls, basically. So, good on her for getting this interaction out there. And I love that it's like a chart that's all in increments of 5, so it's like a total bullshit chart. Too.
You know it's complete bullshit.
To the fact that they had the community note it going, real charts are in increments of 5. Like, oh, really?
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Twitter sleuths. Thank you for being on the case.
So, yeah, Jim, if you want to start getting laid, stop playing games.
Right, what? I'll just leave it there.
Jim, as we've established, if there's a single Jimmy life ahead of you at some point, are you disclosing you're playing video games or you're model trained first?
Well, Brian, if I'm going to be disclosing anything, it is going to be video games and my love of Limp Bizkit. And luckily, Brian, something is coming out on the horizon that combines both of my loves all in one convenient package.
I hate you. That was a better transition. You're not a full Caitlyn yet, but you're getting there.
Awesome. Fresh ambrosia.
But yeah, Chambers, I know you're the one between us. I don't know if I've ever finished a Devil May Cry. I always thought they were really cool games. Never finished it. I remember when we talked back in the day. I feel like you were all about 3 for a while.
I loved 1, absolutely fantastic. Played through that like 10, 20 times, something like that. 2, it's not great. I think I played it like twice, and that was maybe it. It's a completely forgettable game. 3 went back to the original devs, and it was awesome. 4 was fun. 4 was good. 4 was fun. And then I never got around to 5, and like that remake that was by a different company was like okay. Like, I still think it got too much hate, but it wasn't great either. But yeah, no, between the two of us, I'm definitely more the DMC guy.
Yeah, and like I said, it's not from lack of anything other than it's one of those franchises I wish I could get into, and maybe I will one day. But yeah, the anime trailer, it's dropping April 3rd. This was released on January 30th. Already got over 5 million views, and yeah, fucking Limp Bizkit rolling. Now, I will say, the minute I heard that, got me hyped for the trailer. And as someone who, if I had another job, it would be editing trailers and putting music to it. The pacing is so fucking off for that song to what's actually happening in it that it actually takes me out of it. But I would say there's a little controversy with this, Jim, because it seems like everyone's bitching about the art style. And they're like, is this really what the art style is going to look like? It's the same guy who made Castlevania. So... You know he's done a lot of good things. I can't tell if this will actually be the art style or if this is just like a promo trailer for it. But if this was a style, would that bother you?
No, I think it looks pretty goddamn good. And I mean, Devil May Cry comes from a Japanese company, so why would you be mad about it having an anime art style? Like, I know it was kind of more based off, like, you know, American attitude and cool guy aesthetics of the early 2000s, but, like, yeah, I mean, it looks great. Now, it could just be very stylized, like you said. Like, my first thought was, like, this is a throwback to, like, the Cowboy Bebop intro, just with fucking Limp Bizkit as the music. So, yeah, I thought it was almost deliberate that they did it that way. I thought it looked cool. And if it does turn out to be the style of the series, then yeah, like, who gives a shit? It looks great.
No, I'm for it. I'm very curious. So when you go to the wiki page, it does list that song as the opening intro. So I'm very curious if they'll actually keep that for the whole series.
Oh, they need to.
But Jim, when you hear that song, do you ever think of anything other than The Undertaker and the American Badass?
No. No,
like honestly, like
well,
other
actually,
people
you know what? No, what? I don't as much because I was coming out of wrestling at that point, and I was kind of like sick of American Badass Undertaker with like the Kid Rock song. So yeah, I know he was doing Rowan is like in between the Kid Rock and his full big evil gimmick and stuff. So yeah, like I know Rowan was a big part of it for a while, but yeah, I was like, man, I just remember Rowan is Rowan. Like it's 2001 as hell, baby. Like I remember that more as like an intro to like events than I remember it as like, you know, his music.
God, Limp Bizkit. Is this going to help their revival tour? Seeing Fred Durst is fucking depressing, by the way. How old that motherfucker looks. That shit is depressing as hell.
Still rocking the same outfits from back then. I would actually love to go see their tour. One, I've never seen Limp Bizkit live, so
Same.
I might as well at some point. And two, Corey Feldman is their opener, or one of their openers. And I just have to sit through that half-hour disaster of a set because it just looks so interesting.
You talk about depressing. That I put Corey Feldman the same way as for that little blip when Charlie Sheen was on his whatever the fuck thing, and he tried doing
his Tiger Blood tour,
whatever the fuck it was. Yeah, like I never got it. That was the term cringe before there was such a thing as cringe. Like that wasn't a term we used back then. But like, yeah.
Brian, seeing how they made out in life, who do you think had it better, Corey Feldman or Corey Haim?
Didn't Corey Haim die?
Yeah, he's been dead for like 10 years from an overdose.
God damn it, Jim!
That's the drill.
Son of a bitch! Don't you ever disparage the Frog Brothers again? That's Lost Boys lore, Jim.
Thank you, Brian. And one who's disparaging. All right. But yeah.
Did you ever watch Castlevania?
No, I never got around to it. I need to watch that at some point.
Bitch.
Aren't there only like the seasons are like what, 6, 8 episodes, something like that?
Yeah, they're not long. That's what I'm saying. You could easily binge it.
Yeah, now I got to get around to that. I really do.
I think I only saw the first 2. There's 4 seasons right now. Yeah, I'm not an anime guy in general, but I thought it was pretty good. So, you know what? This is one of those things like one day I'll probably just like turn on. So, yeah, for all you Devil May Cry fans, looks pretty cool. Maybe it'll finally get me into the video games.
Yeah, and for all you people bitching about the art, shut up.
All right, Chambers. You know I love lists. Unfortunately, for our goddamn Patreon, we had to go over a different type of list.
What a night of lists for you. Lucky girl.
This is a much better one, Chambers.
I would say
I
would say the other one's better, Brian.
I would say, you know what? I'd say this is infinitely better. Once again, coming to us from Culture Crave, which we actually just covered them last week as well. But here we have the highest selling video games of 2024. And this is a list that makes more sense to me when we come across lists in general. So we'll just go from 10 to 1. So at number 10, they had EA MVP Bundle, which I don't know what that actually is. Looks like 2 different football games. And then at number 9, we got Elden Ring. At number 8, we have FC 25. At number 7,
FIFA something 25, I'm sure.
Yeah, football. I didn't know what the C was either. Maybe FIFA Championship? I don't know.
Or football coach, maybe? Let me see. FC 25.
What is that?
What the fuck? What does it stand for? All right, I don't care about soccer. Just move on. Fine.
And then number 7. This one kind of surprised me. COD Modern Warfare 3. I didn't think that would still be selling so good in 2024. Number 6, we got Madden 25.
Well, just to stop you real quick, I guess Modern 3 was the one that came the November before, so it had more time to sell, I guess, during the course of the year.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I see. Yeah. I just assume by the time it gets into the next year, most people are doing Warzone, and that's free. So I'm shocked people still went out and bought it.
Yeah, true.
6 is Madden 25. 5 is 2K25. See, I actually would have always thought Madden would have outsold it, but kind of shocked with that.
I guess NBA 2K is a way bigger series than either of us thought.
Yeah. And then 4, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. I mean, that's one I know you said you want to try out.
I do.
I feel like that game both gets shit on and praised pretty heavily. 3 Helldivers too. I'm in that number because for a little bit I played, I really enjoyed it. I do want to get back to it, but I still say that's the multiplayer game of the year. 2, College Football 25. That, when you talk about shocks the shit out of me, I know college football games are always high, but to be higher than 2K and Madden, that's crazy to me.
You know what? So, there actually had not been a college football game in a long time. So, like the NCAA footballs and all that ended, I want to say almost like 10 years ago, if not maybe a little shorter, but it's been a long time. So, there is a ton of hype around a new one coming out this year. And for a while, the timeline just had a lot of people going like, oh, wow, this is awesome. And it is actually like a good game too. So, but apparently there was a real market for that.
Wouldn't you imagine it's basically going to be the same engine as Madden?
Yeah, same engine, but, you have college football rules, and, like, college football fans are fanatical. Even, like, the old guys who just still cheer on their team and shit like that. And I guess now that with, like, the new agreements, you can have the actual player names in there and crap like that.
Yeah.
So,
because they're actually making money off of that shit. Yeah, well, that's what's interesting is, like, maybe there is more college football fans in the NFL, which is hard to believe, but I guess it's possible.
Maybe.
Yeah. And then number 1, to no surprise, is COD Black Ops 6. So, once again, I think this is accurate because this is based in the U.S. So, to not see a lot of Nintendo or things of that doesn't shock me.
Yeah, and you know what? It is still funny, too. So, top retail... Well, it's the top 10 selling retail games. Of 24. Never mind. I clicked on a link. I was hoping to see, like, sales numbers, but with all that bullshit aside, it's funny that, like, COD, for as much as it isn't, like, the juggernaut it was 10 years ago, 2 games are still in the top 10 sellers of the year.
Yeah.
For how much, like, people say it's fallen off, it's still, like, a top seller. Ridiculously.
I think we underestimate when, like, people say COD falls off. I think they're like, it's disillusion, right? Like, they still consistently put out the biggest numbers. Now, granted, if they are up against a year where a Zelda or Mario drops, you might not think about it. But, like, when it comes to 90%, I think, of gamers out there, the more casual crowd, they're playing COD. Like, anyone I know, and I have so many random friends from other games, when I go on Xbox, PlayStation, whatever, they're playing COD. Like, that's just the game they're playing.
Oh, yeah. My old neighbor, all he played was COD. He bought an Xbox just to play COD. So,
yeah.
It's,
you know US, baby.
it's wild to think, like, just how big Modern Warfare 2 must have been back in the day. Just to have this series, like, because that was, like, the game everyone talked about back then. Modern Warfare 1 and 2. And just to see that, like, it's still fucking around, like, it's kind of crazy.
It's the thing that gamers couldn't appreciate with sports games. That's what shooters have become. It's that same ilk where hardcore gamers are fucking losers who will be like shit on people like, you only play shooters. You're not a real gamer. It's like, shut up. Just like people would shit on, sports gamers. Like, oh, all you do is have a Genesis for sports games because that's all it's good for. Like, it's that same mentality. So, yeah.
Or if, like, all you play is, like, racing sims, then it's like, oh, is this all you want to do is still live Fast and Furious? And you say, fuck you, I do. And maybe you like Forza. But now, Brian, you have options because Forza is no longer going to be an Xbox exclusive.
I love it. I know you're not in the same ilk as me. I think get it out there. Let people play. And I think this is a targeted thing by Xbox because they want to overcome Gran Turismo. I think most people I know who have, and I was deep in the fucking racing games back in the day. Before I fully dropped off, I was still up to whatever. Gran Turismo 6, 7, I don't even remember a number, and I was at Forza 3 or something, and I thought, damn, Forza might be beating Gran Turismo. Now, Gran Turismo, the level of specs you could go into a car, fucking tune-in transmission, all this shit, it's insane. But for a pick up and play, but still be a simulator, Forza, I don't know. It had it. And Gran Turismo, I feel like, was always the benchmarker for graphics for every PlayStation console. Like, I feel like for a while there, like how realistic they would make the cars look in the racing, that showed off PlayStation. And then I feel like with the last two, like 4 and 5, they kind of dropped off from PlayStation from that, and they switched more to like, some of the action games. But I think this is a way for them to be like, watch Forza now outsell Gran Turismo even on PlayStation.
Yeah, and you know what? Like, to your point, like for a while, Gran Turismo was like the racing sim. But like no one really seems to talk about Gran Turismo at all anymore ever. But like anytime a new Forza comes out, people are hyped for it. And like you'll see people talking about it for a while. And the Horizon series is like the offshoot that's like the, the big open world kind of racer with like, going around to find races and objectives and crap. But instead of just like the straight up simulation kind of game, but that's another very much beloved series, and as almost a follow-up to what we said last week with Phil Spencer, like, this is Xbox basically saying, yeah, we're just going to put our games everywhere, and if you want to buy a console, you can buy it for the specs to be the best way to play it, but if not, this is them throwing it down. Like, Xbox is going everywhere, and now there's all the rumors about Halo going to be cross-platform on different shit. Gears is going to be coming out on cross-platform, so... You know what? The Xbox brand, I guess they threw in the towel for being in the console market as a competitor, and they're just going, just give me all the money. Give me all the money. We'll put it everywhere.
Yeah, but like we covered last week, and I think as a continuation this week, we have this article from Eurogamer, which basically points out, like, it's taken 8 years, but Game Pass is positioned to save the Xbox console business and give Xbox a point. Now, this guy, I like the way this guy wrote. It's from Tom Ori.
Definitely seems like more of an opinion piece. It's not like,
Yeah. No, there's nothing like, there's no stats behind it. But he's saying, like, basically, hey, based on his son and some personal experiences he has with people, people tend to write off the Xbox console, I think, a little too easily. They're like, oh, it's losing numbers by PlayStation every year, and it doesn't have as many exclusives. But there are these little, like, shining hopes. Like, he points out that game Pentiment, which everyone I know who played it loved the shit out of it.
Yeah.
But, like, he's basically like, no, like, Xbox, and you and I have maintained this, you can't fuck with its online services, its UI. Like, I have every console, and I still say Xbox is the smoothest, the best. If you want it for streaming multiple things, whether it's you're using it for Netflix, gaming, whatever, and then add in the lineup from Game Pass, it's still unbeatable. Nothing touches it. And in 2025, the guy points out like a list of Game Pass lineups, which include Call of Duty, the Stalker 2, the Indiana Jones, which is getting a ton of love, Ninja Gaiden, Sniper Elite, Citizen Sleeper, like, and then of course Doom: The Dark Ages. So he just points out, like, yeah, there's still plenty of people who are just like, why would I even bother going to PlayStation? I have my Xbox. And I think that is a mentality, kind of like you just mentioned about Call of Duty. People sleep a little too much on Xbox, and I don't think it's going anywhere. And I think the whole Game Pass and exclusivity doesn't matter to more folks anymore. I think that's a thing of the past, Chambers.
I mean, it probably is. It's old Jimmy being a dinosaur. Like, my argument's always exclusivity and competition breeds innovation, but even this seems to be the way of the whole industry. Like, PlayStation's been putting older releases onto the computer, like Spider-Man 2 I know just dropped on there. So it's probably just the way it is. Like, everyone's going to move away from physical, and it's all going to be an arms race outside Nintendo, because Nintendo's Nintendo. Everything else is just going to be an arms race to see who could just sell the most games at that point and not even deal with, like, the loss leaders. Like, a console will just be a loss leader and a way to play games easier than, like, say, a PC. But, like, once I get my computer built, I'm going to get back on Game Pass because, I can't do it on my Xbox One really anymore. So once I get that, though, I'll be back in the game. So it'll be cool.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, you might not love it. You and I are from the physical era, but digital, it's going to be such the norm that Think about you and I, like, we probably are the same way where we oversave everything because it was drilled into us from early computers, like fucking from computer lab classes and stuff. It's like, fucking save. If you don't save, you're going to lose all your stuff. Most kids today probably never touch. They just rely completely on autosave. And for you and I, that's fucking insane.
Right. Do you want to get a little bit of anxiety right now?
Go on.
So, Terminator. RoboCop, Rogue City. I just gushed over it. Loved it. Talk about it for the last couple weeks. The save system in that game, though. Brian, there is no manual save system in that game at all. You are beholden to reaching checkpoints and automatic checkpoints and autosaves. Yep. So until you realize that, you might go through a bunch of cutscenes and then like you boot it up again and you're like, what the fuck? Why am I back here? But yes, I actually looked it up online to see how do I save? And they said, you don't. It saves for you.
That's a fucking bucket of yuck.
So yeah, like obviously you have to deal with it because you don't have a choice, but there was always that part in the back of my head that's like, fuck me if this corrupts. Fuck me if something happens. If I lose this goddamn save and I have to start all over again. Jimmy no likey that. No likey. Nate Dubsha. Moy Mal.
Can we agree one of the worst games in the history of gaming with that shit is fucking No Mercy, and that cart not be like the number of times I've decided to try and go back and get it and I find out my shit has been all erased and I have to try and, which at this point I'm never going to re-unlock everything, but fuck all that. Like, I'm sorry. There is no excuse in this day and age. Why do you never have the ability to just save whenever you want?
Right. No Mercy turned me off from early adoption for the rest of my life. Because, like you, I was an early buyer, almost got it right as it launched. And we are the blessed ones with the cartridges that fail and lose your saves.
What's going to be freakier, Jim, is there's going to be some weirdos out there that want that because that's a more exclusive cart or some shit.
Maybe it is. And you know what? There's a niche for everything, you sick fucks. But the amount of times I went and re-got Shawn Michaels and Andre the Giant surviving the 100-man Royal Rumbles just to lose him again. Heartbreaking. Or you're creator wrestler you go through like 90% of a fucking story mode with just to have him lose all of his customation and stats. He's just a blank canvas again. You're just like, the fuck? So yeah. Yes, I'm very turned on that. But yeah, there will be a whole generation that just never knows, Brian.
And I mean, it's the problem with gaming we've said. You have that, you have the digitizing, and then you have games that just go away at some point and end up being delisted or they no longer support. I've been very vocal on like Friday the 13th, which is no longer available. Like, I can still play it as against bots. Online service is done. But a game that you and I covered a few times, not a ton. I actually played a little bit of it. Fucking WB MultiVerse. Its 5th season will be its last.
MultiVersus, Brian.
MultiVersus. Yeah, so the season 5 runs from February 5th till May 30th. And then after that, the game will go offline and be delisted from PlayStation, Microsoft, Steam, Epic, all of them. And you'll still be able to play locally with friends, up to 3, but kind of just out of nowhere, they're like, yeah, we're no longer supporting it. It wasn't an easy decision. It's all the usual shit. It's like, this wasn't an easy decision. We appreciate everyone's support. And just like every other game, there's like currency you have, and they're like, well, if you still have it, you can spend it up to that point. But basically, you better spend it or you're fucked, is the message.
Yes, all online features will continue to be available until Season 5 concludes on May 30th at 9 a.m. Pacific Time. There will be an option to play MultiVersus local, like you were talking about. So, in order to save it locally to your system, you will have to have it downloaded and updated to the latest version and latest season in order for you to still be able to play the single-player mode. Real money transactions are no longer available in the game as of today, but players with Romanium, Gleamium currency, and character tokens can continue to spend them on in-game content until the game goes offline on May 30th. Players will Players will not be refunded for any Gleamium or other content purchased with real money. And yeah, like you were saying, it wasn't made lately. Blah, 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 blah. And look, this is something we talked about since it launched. It was a free game with a shit ton of licenses. It went for the games as a service model where they just expected to make all their money back on season passes and character skins and packages. And it just was never popular enough to sustain it. So it goes bye-bye. Actually, when I saw this today, I was going to try and play a little bit before we recorded, but I actually just downloaded it to my PS5. So I'll give it a go and see how it is, see if there's any big loss. I don't know of anyone who really loves MultiVersus all that much or will care.
Well, here's the deal.
It's like an oddity. It'll be an oddity more than anything else.
So you and I have, I feel like, very much defended PlayStation, All-Stars, Battle Stars, whatever the fuck.
Yeah, I think All-Stars Battle Royale, whatever that was. Yeah.
As a game, I said there needs to be more of these cross-franchise. You're just trying to take off of Smash Brothers, right? Compete with that. When I look at this one, now when I first played it, I'm looking at the roster now. It didn't have a lot of these, but you got things like fucking Powerpuff Girls, Beetlejuice, Jason Voorhees, LeBron James, fucking Taz, the Scooby-Doo gang, Arya Stark from goddamn Game of Thrones, which I didn't realize that was anything with WB, fucking Gizmo, Batman, Superman, like Tom and Jerry, like the weird assembly of these characters, just that alone should be enough to make anyone go like, I'd kind of be interested in that. Like the PlayStation Battle Stars, I love the weird combo and things they did in that game. And it sucks that this failed because all it's going to do is entice people to like never want to try this shit again. And that's what I hate is like, there are so many interesting franchises, and with licensing, we know that's a pain in the dick. But like, if Sony had wanted to come out and try it again, or whatever, insert Microsoft and do their version with fucking Master Chief and all their whatever. No, they're like, why would we do it? Everyone seems to fucking fail at this. So I'm just bummed at that. Like, because I wanted this to succeed strictly to have that weird ass combination of like, when else are you going to have the fucking Iron Giant fighting Marvin the Martian? You're not.
So I have two theories to this. I guess the biggest one is it almost seems like it was marketed to the wrong crowd. Like, in order for a game like this to make all the money, like, it's weird because, like, it's almost like if Funko Pop made a video game, which is funny because Funko Pop did make a video game and it was really bad and no one cared about it.
I didn't even know it did.
Yeah, it came out like a couple months ago to like absolutely like everyone's like, oh, it's the Funko Pop game, and then everyone like was like, oh, it actually sucks. All right, big shock. So like, it's almost like, you know, you have all these franchises, but it almost seems more geared towards guys our age than to kids. And if you have a service game like this where you're banking on spending a lot of money and kids, you know, raping a parent's wallet, kind of has to more geared towards that. And like, I don't think, you know, like I know, like my daughter likes Scooby-Doo, but I don't like Scooby-Doo's not in the super public lexicon. I know he's on and shit, but like, or like I know they had like Adventure Time on there, but even Adventure Time's old at this point. Powerpuff Girls, like again, our age group. Like there's a lot of stuff on there that like I just think they missed a mark on what licenses they got and what they like. It seems like they threw shit at the wall to see what stuck, when really they should have just like maybe. I mean, obviously being tied to WB, and WB is huge, but maybe they just don't have what the kids are looking for these days. And that's probably what killed it the most.
Or I mean, I will admit when I played the game, wasn't perfect. So that's why I'm interested in see you play it. Like. The problem is, as soon as you pick up this game, what's your first thought? How does it compare to Smash? Does it do the things like Smash? And here's the deal. Just like everything else we've said, like you can either suffer from, oh, you're just basically a clone of Smash, and you do it well with interesting characters, or you try to do something too simple or too complicated, and it's not enough like Smash, so it kind of fucks you in that way. This game falls in that category where I feel like it's both too simple, and you play this and you go, well, Smash would have done this or done that. Whereas like PlayStation All Stars, you were like, oh, that like whole like map changing shit and stuff they did. You were like, wow, that's pretty cool. But they kept enough of it to feel like Smash, where you're like, oh, you still get your special, your items, yada yada yada. Yeah, it's a bummer. When I played it back in the day, they didn't have Jason, they didn't have Agent Smith from fucking Matrix, like, which if you're gonna throw something from the Matrix, how do you not gonna have fucking Neo? Like, I don't know.
Once again, kids don't care about the
They
Matrix
don't care.
anymore.
Yeah. So it bums me out just because you talked about wanting competition to breed innovation, and in the multi-franchise combative scene, Smash is just going to always be the thing, and everyone else is probably, like I said, going to be too scared moving forward because this is two big strikeouts from that. Now, I know there's been other ones. I think there is a Cartoon Network. I think there's like a Nickelodeon one.
Nickelodeon, I think, actually has two at this point.
Does
the first one was kind of like, it had a lot of people actually liked the Nickelodeon game, but like it was very bare bones. And I think a second one came out or was planned on it. I forget if it actually ever did.
Interesting. Yeah, and to your point, you gotta get that balance of appeal to people our age, but appeal to kids.
Holy shit! Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 came out in November of 2023. So that's probably a game that just came and went.
Pretty much. I mean, I remember seeing it, like, I think on Game Pass because Logan wanted me to download it, and I was like, nah, you're not going to play that. But, yeah, I don't know. Games are a fickle bitch, Chambers.
That is for goddamn sure. So you can go for the most, milquetoast, happy-go-lucky, just throw all the fun in the world at it. Or you can put a little real life in your games, Bri, and learn something while probably depressing the ever-living hell out of you.
You sure can.
So this is an interesting one, the next one we're going to talk about, because a good old JD Mains in the Discord, he brought it up. And when he brought it up, I was like, what the hell are you talking about? I've never heard of this game. So there is a game coming out that is called Dreams on a Pillow. And his question to us was, do we figure it to be propaganda, or is it a chance for public sentiment? And there's an article below. We have a couple links below for if you really want to delve into this. So there's a Polygon article that talks about it. We have the YouTube trailer for it, as well as its launch goods, which it's basically like a quasi Kickstarter.
Yeah.
And so what this is it is a game that is about the 1948 Nakba, which is another like tragic event that happened in Palestine, I think shortly after the creation of Israel. And this is a 3D semi-stealth game that he's developing. So it is, so the Nakba is an event where roughly 700,000 people were displaced from their land and their homes due to Zionist occupation. So, before we get into all this, disclaimer. We are two white guys from suburban Pennsylvania. We are not qualified to talk about fucking international relations and the history of the Middle East at all. So take that with a grain of salt. With that being said, and he describes it as a pseudo 3D stealth adventure game about a land full of people being made into a people without land. From Palestinian developer Rashid Abu Ida, I guess is how you say it. And yeah, so he had previously developed another game. In 2016, he came out with a game known as Lila and the Shadows of War, which is about a 2014 assault on Gaza by Israel, known as Occupation Protective Edge. And after I saw this, it's actually free right now on Windows and iOS, so I downloaded it to my phone to play it. And honestly, it only takes about 10 minutes to play through the entire thing, and the art style is in the style of, say, a Limbo, where you're just like a silhouetted character, and you play as Lila, the titular little girl, and her family trying to survive the attack on their hometown. And it has a little bit of platforming elements, and it has some like almost choose your own adventure decision making elements, but it's all based on real events that happened. So it's like, hey, I mean, it's a free game on iOS. I guess this is considered a spoiler. It's almost 10 years old, but it's like, hey, we should hide out in this school. Oops, they bombed a school and everyone's dead. It's the kind of game like that. So it's not a happy game in any sense of the word, but it is a historical telling, and depending on your politics, you could consider it propaganda. But, you know, I think there's a place in the world for a story to be told. And that game is interesting because when they tried to first go onto iOS, they didn't let it go on because it was too depressing and too political for what they wanted to have in their game section. And eventually Apple caved and they put it on there. So again, if you're interested, it takes 10 minutes. It's on the iOS store. With certain executive orders, it might be almost illegal to have a game like that on your phone soon. Time will only tell. But, yeah, so he's working on a new game, and they had these Go Fund Goes. And had an original one where it's already talking like Elmer Fudd. It raised over $246,000, and so people in the YouTube video comments were asking about, oh, well, I want to support this still, so he opened up a second one. And, yeah, it's, at the very least, a very interesting piece of social commentary that you really never see out of games, especially, like, we're both from North America. Like, we went through the whole boom of propaganda shooters from the early 2000s after 9/11. You know, obviously, as America, our ally is Israel, so to see a game that goes from the Palestinian perspective is something that we're just not going to be exposed to all that much. So, really, you know, the question that was posed to us, Brian, I mean, did you watch the trailer for this? Did you read into it at all?
Oh, yeah. No, I read about everything. I mean, simply put, this game is not for us, right? Like, so...
I mean, it almost is, in a way.
No. I mean, it's not for us in the sense that you've laid the groundwork. We're not experts. We're not saying anything. But this guy, like, watching his video, reading into him, this is a deeply personal video game. This is more like, honestly, a story being told, right? And granted, he's putting it under the element of you're playing a game, but let's be honest. This is something like you would hate because you've really got to pay attention to the story and care about the characters, which is not what someone like you want a fun video game. And I'm not saying the game could be fun, in theory, but let's be honest.
After playing his last one, you're probably not going to be having a lot of fun.
That's my point.
You're probably
right?
You're probably going to hate everything after when you're done. But that's
this is one of those games that that it's like there's a very big double-edged sword with this game, right? Like, what if you play it and you're like, I genuinely did not enjoy doing that. Like, this was not a fun experience. But it's like this deeply personal story this guy is trying to tell. On one hand, if you're like shitting on the game just because, like, what if the gameplay sucks? What if the game is just bad? But you're not willing to actually say that because you're not trying to talk down to this guy's experience of an event that, you know, maybe we don't agree with. Maybe some people don't agree. Like you said, if some people label it as propaganda, like it's already laying the groundwork for being way too messy to probably properly succeed unless you're someone who goes in there, unfortunately, with a political agenda. Like, this could never be a casual pickup game, right?
Oh, God, no.
Yeah. But I agree with you in a sense, like, that's the point of anything. It's the point of books. It's the point of movies. It's the point of whatever. Not every movie is meant to make you laugh or feel a certain thing. Some movies make you feel really fucking uncomfortable. Some games can do that, too. This one is a different approach from, I think, what we normally see. Like you said, there's debatably like military shooters that took place after 9/11. And of course, you can have your feelings. But whenever you have a game like this, it's different, right? It's not a military game, but it goes around a subject. And we live in, unfortunately, a world right now where I will say my Twitter is fucking Twitter's been fucking extremely weird. Because there's a lot of retelling, I'll say, of historical events and different viewpoints and whatever. And on one hand, it's like...
Right. I mean, depending on your viewpoint, if according to certain UFC fighters, certain people weren't all that bad.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, Jim. And it's like, you in the U.S., you have your right to say whatever you want, even if it's very, very wrong.
For now.
I'll just say that. But what I'm saying is, like, so a game like this, of course, I think, listen, if it inspired you to make a game, yeah. It's one, though, like, honestly, if I was a review, like, even though you and I review games, I'm saying if I was a professional reviewer, I probably wouldn't want to touch with a 10-foot pole. Because if you praise it too much, you might get hate from one side. And if you hate it too much, you might get hate from one side. But if you're in the middle and you're like, I'm just trying to strictly rate it based on its actual gameplay, and maybe it doesn't pan out so well, you're going to get hate. So I feel like this is a game that there's no winner in. This is just like I said, it seemed like a very deeply personal project from Rashid. And cool, he got it funded. Like you said, he made over $240K. His original goal was $198K. And then he opened up the second one. Now, what's interesting is he opened up the second one. It's at 1 from one supporter with 604 days left. So interesting. I don't know. When I see someone put that much effort into this, like, does part of you just go, couldn't that just be a book or a film? Because he talks about it wanting to be gameplay, but, like, I don't know. That opens up the subject of, can games be more educational or movie based?
You know what? I think like you just said, because even playing the Lydia game, like, there's parts where you're just running away from white phosphorus being dropped on you, or, you know, bombs being shot at you from drones and crap like that. So it almost gives you that sense of immersion to, like, really give you a bit more of that feeling of what the people going through that at the time were probably dealing with. So, like, if you have a message you're trying to send, that extra bit of immersion that you're not going to get with a book, you're not going to get with a movie, it's going to hit closer to home. And I'll keep this very general, but not the soapbox, like, there is an order out there to combat anti-Semitism, which, good, on paper, yes, perfectly fine. Like, no one's going to argue that. But, depending on who you talk to, just saying, I hate Israel could be considered anti-Semitism, and that's where you hit that fine line and things can get very murky. So it's almost like a game like this could be a very important piece of something to have out there to show the other side. Especially to, you know, people like us who would otherwise, unless you're really tuned into, like, Al Jazeera or, you know, different things on TikTok or Blue Sky, you're not going to see that side of it. So, like, it's a very murky, shitty situation that's going on over there right now. And again, we're going to keep it general because we try to keep the show lighter, but it's like, it's fucked up. And to see a story from that and to have a stealth game, I think is smart, because it's probably going to be you as, you know, from what it looked like, you're just playing as a woman and you're probably trying to hide from an invasion or like a horrible event that happened. So, you know, a stealth game where if you make one wrong move, you're dead might be the perfect immersion to tell this kind of story. So there's obviously a market, like you said, it got funded. It might get some more money out of it. It'll be interesting to see what it does, or hell, with the way things are going, if it's even allowed to be released in this country. We'll have to see.
My big thing, Jim, is the gameplay better be good. You can have a good story, but here's the deal. What if it just turns out to be just like a shitty game? Like, and you can be whatever you feel about the story, but if, like I said, that's why, like, if you're a journalist or something, you're like, but the game actually sucks. Like, what if the music's terrible? Like there's elements now, like, I just go strictly to, like, the technical aspects of the game. Like, what if the game just sucks?
Yeah, I mean, that's where you walk the fine line. Like, again, to that Lydia game, it would never win a gameplay Game of the Year award kind of thing or something like that. Yeah. But it did what it needed to do. This, especially if you're a 3D stealth game, you better make sure your fucking mechanics work. Because if you're just sitting there the whole time fighting the mechanics and going, this is fucking bullshit. Like, I definitely hid from that guy. Like, you're just going to undermine into everything you're trying to do, too. So, I mean, hey, good for him for being more ambitious this time around, but you kind of also better deliver.
You also pointed out, this is the way that games need to go, and you know what? I think throughout the history of games, there'll be plenty of opportunities for folks to now, if you have a passion project, something, a story you want to tell, whatever, that's the way to go. Get it, crowdfund it, make it compelling, make it work. But Jim, you and I have talked a lot about loving game history and trying to keep it preserved. And I think one of the things you and I can agree on more than anything is that figuring out a way to preserve as much shit around gaming history, not just the games themselves, but footage of how a game was developed or magazines or whatever, is a pretty big deal. And we covered a story a while ago about the Video Game History Foundation, and I love seeing this so much because there's been a pretty big update, I would feel like, since the last time we talked about them.
So the Video Game History Foundation, Brian, it's the library is open. The library opens in early access for everyone, for free, wherever you are. So you can go to library.gamehistory.org. This has been around since 2017, where they've just been gathering all kinds of different random knickknacks through the history of games. So it's not just like a collection of ROMs. It goes way deeper into that. It has a lot of the never before seen game development materials, artwork, press kits, promotional materials, 1,500 full text searchable out of print video game magazines. There's a lot of dev kits in there. They even got this guy Mark Flitman, who worked with Konami, Acclaim, Midway, and Mindscape, and he just gave him to come into his home and look through all of his memorabilia and all his development kits and all of his swag and all of his other stuff through the history of all the games that they made. FMVs about the entire production, like 100 hours of footage from the production of the Myst series. And it's the thing that they want to collaborate with the community. And they have CDs and art and press releases from GamePro, guidebooks, FromSoft promotional materials and other people. So it definitely looks like they're hitting certain markets for the start of this going live. But we've actually talked about it before. And I've had things to say about Frank Cifaldi, who's a big guy behind the Video Game History Foundation. And for as much of a wiener as I think he can be at times, he's a guy who really... you like that, huh? He's a guy who really knows what he's talking about when it comes to the history of the gaming. He's very passionate about it. So it definitely looks like it's in the right hands, and it could be something that's very cool as it expands out there. So if you're a person who likes to go deeper... if you're the kind of guy who would watch a movie and love it, and then go back and listen to the director's commentary on a DVD, this is the site for you for video games.
I just love, you covered some of it, but the thing I've been diving into and looking through was their magazine library. So as of right now, they have up to 3 major gaming magazines, but they hit some of the major ones, like Electronic Gaming Monthly, friggin' GamePro, Game Informer, things that we've talked about. Now, I'm sad so far I haven't seen Nintendo Power. Who knows if they'll ever allow it.
That might be tough to get.
Yeah, but even I remember having the PlayStation magazine, the US PlayStation magazine. I love that you can go on there and just look at those. And that's what honestly I've been doing. Electronic Gaming Monthly, I've been scrolling through some of the, I'm oh fuck, I actually have that one. It made me want to go over and re-find it. Cause we said physical media is bad enough with just games and they're cartridges, which aren't, but magazines, most people never kept them in great condition. And do you really want to go on eBay and fucking drop crazy money for someone who was like Jim, who probably saved every Dorito chip he ever ate? No, you don't want to do that. But I love this because it's someone taking this stuff serious, and it's this stuff around games that you don't appreciate or can't appreciate. So knowing someone is preserving it, I like that. And eventually I do hope they get all the ROMs, all the things. At some point, someone's got to do it. So, like you said, I don't remember your issues with this guy.
He had a real bitch fit when MagFest a couple years ago had that one sign that said Kotaku's journalistic integrity. And he was just you're just encouraging the chuds and Gamergate to come back out. And this was 3 or 4 years before Gamergate did come back out. quick side note: the only reason GamerGate's really back is because the journalists never stopped bitching about it for 10 fucking years. Like they kept that in the public mind way more than like the depths of 4chan. I'm just gonna put that out there because no one else ever fucking talked about it. So, like, no one cared about Sargon of Akkad by fucking 2019. So or 2020.
You just said a whole lot of words. I don't know what the fuck they even meant.
You live a better life that you don't know what any of this means.
But like I said, you need people this dedicated, this caring about video games. And
and one more last aside, for as much as I can dunk on Frank Cifaldi sometimes, I respect the hell out of what he does and his passion for video game history. It's like Jason Schreier. I think he's a fucking self-important wiener as far as game journalists go, but I will also say 1,000% that he is the best one out there who does the best work. So I can respect the work you do even if I don't like the person. So, yeah.
But yeah, no, I am completely for it. I think you guys check it out if you've ever wanted to scroll through old video game magazines, see some of the footage, some background footage of development of games, everything Jim was saying. Like I said, I really want them to keep expanding this and take it to ROMs, take it to whatever, figure out a way, just keep preserving this stuff. Like one, you know what's something that's so odd that I appreciate so much about like YouTube is the preservation of like old commercials.
Oh yeah.
Like I feel like there needs to be a better database in YouTube, and maybe there is. I could be wrong. But goddamn do I love certain like TV promos, whatever. Like, dude, there needs to be a place where they're all very well documented cuz I miss those so fucking much. Like if I could go back and rewatch all the old WWE promos, like god damn, they were great. And that's something that's just dead. So yeah. Preserve game history however you can.
Where else can you see the old WWF Karate Fighters promo packages? All right, nowhere. Jerry Lawler versus Sonny. All right, I have my Karate Fighter set back there, motherfucker. So shit. What's the content for me? That's why it's important.
Jim, we need to do a stream where I whoop your ass in that.
We you know what? We probably should make a video one day where we bring back the drinking games and do it with fucking Karate Fighters. I have the 4 first guys. I got Red Ninja. I got Dragon Fist. I got Thunderfoot. I got Skull Crusher. I got him, baby.
I get Skull Crusher and Dragon Fist.
Man, fine.
Oh, but Chambers, how did your heavy ass stout treat you tonight?
Jimmy's feeling it. You know what? I mean, this is the second one, so it's got the big fucking label.
Ah, you got the fucking label.
Here it is. Here's the other one. So yeah, you know what? Yeah, if you like stouts at all, especially imperial stouts, track this down. Get it however you can. You will not be disappointed. It is super smooth. It is not overly. It doesn't have an overwhelming punch in any way of any of the flavor profiles, and it isn't boozy at all. And at 13%. And 2 of these pounders, yeah, I'm feeling it right now. But yeah, tomorrow might be questionable, but that's definitely one to keep an eye out for.
So the Hey Yo, I can say, much better cold. However, Broad Street, I've never had you. I hope this isn't your strongest beer. I'm just gonna say that. I'm gonna be nice. It was fine, but at the end of the day, it felt like when I have a hazy, I do expect a little more citrus, a little bit smoother. It kind of felt like I was drinking a basic IPA. Like it was so underwhelming for a hazy where I'll still maybe try because they had a whole section of this Broad Street Brewing. Yeah, it wasn't great. I'm just going to say that. So hope I'll leave it at that. I don't want to say anything else mean, but that's how I feel about it. I still love the labeling. I'm going to say that. The coloring, the rocky, all of it.
Right.
But
all you have to say
guys,
to that is go Birds, all right? That's all I have to say.
Well, absolutely go Birds. With that, guys, we want to say thank you all so much for listening and watching. If you are watching on YouTube, make sure hit the notification bell, hit the subscribe, leave us a comment below. Let us know what you liked and what you didn't like. And if you're listening on iTunes, Spotify, Podbean, make sure you subscribe to us, leave us a 5-star rating, and we'll read each and every one of your comments on these Power Hour podcasts. With that, we want to say have a good night, everyone. Cheers.
Cheers, everybody.